One thing I've been wondering about is how you've seen the profession change since you graduated.
It's all for the best. And the first and the most obvious one is that is almost a little bit overwhelming is the tremendous number of women in the profession now. When I went to veterinary school, there were 2 women. And most of the years thereafter, it was 2 or 3 or 4 in most of the veterinary schools. And now, my alma mater has 87% women in the freshman class, and I know of 2 veterinary schools that have 100% women. And that's a little disturbing because I don't understand where the men are. Is it just that the women are so much smarter, or I don't know what the issue there is. But the other issue that I'm really also pleased about is the spectrum of what veterinarians can do and where they can go, and public practice versus private practice is so different now. There are so many veterinarians and so many jobs that you don't know are veterinarians, and some that you do know are veterinarians, but that have historically been other professions. And that's, I think, because we have a tremendous background in basic science, and we have a good background in problem solving, and we're good in what you might want to say is herd management, prevention. And prevention is such an important issue in medicine, and veterinarians are sort of geared that way. So I've always been proud to be a veterinarian, and as the years go by, I feel better and better about it. So I don't know where all you women came from, though.
I knew at Tufts it was 90%.
Yeah.
And I went to an undergrad that was 80% male. It was a harsh reality.
Yeah.
One time I saw a veterinary technician training book from the 50s that one of our techs at work had, and it showed all sorts of crazy contraptions and had all sorts of interesting knowledge, or supposed knowledge points in there. And I was wondering, what's some things that you're trained to do that have completely gone out the window and just seem ridiculous now? I'm sure it's quite a few.
Gosh. Well, in 1959, we did a lot of things that are ridiculous and just go out the window. We also learned about strange diseases and treatments that we knew were not right, but people were still using. What did they call it? Where you use salt. There was something on the tail. All kinds of weird stuff that was folk medicine. And it was a much different profession then. We understood it was folk medicine, but those kinds of things just aren't around anymore. So yeah, we've come a long way. We get a CAT scan, for example. The MRIs for animals and for people. Those are remarkable instruments, and a long way from the vet school that I went to in 1959. So I'm glad to still be around myself.
Yeah. Well, you've been around, you've been kind of guiding a lot of veterinary knowledge over the years, but who's guided you? Who would you say are your significant mentors and guides?
My significant mentor is a person who passed away 2 years ago, who was my boss at the National Institutes of Health for 15 years. His name was Joe R. Held, and he was a truly a man for all seasons. He spoke fluent French, fluent Spanish. He was a man of the world. He'd been on a number of commissions and committees for the World Health Organization, and he opened so many doors, not just for me professionally, but for our profession, because he was very proud of being a veterinarian. He was the first veterinarian to ever receive 2 stars in any of the uniformed services, and I got lucky and followed him along that way. I was hanging on all the way. He also was the first veterinarian to ever be a part of the NIH Scientific Directors Council, which are the chief scientists of each of the institutes of NIH. And it's quite an honor to be on that. And again, he was the first veterinarian, and thanks to him, I was the second veterinarian. I can't say enough about Joe Held. You could write, in fact, I'd like to write a book about Joe Held. He was a wonderful man who I believe has done more for veterinary medicine than any other human that I know in my lifetime.
What do you think is the most important lesson that he taught you?
That veterinarians can do anything. And he
that.
was a perfect representative of that.
That's fantastic. And you're totally right. A lot of people don't think about veterinarians doing unconventional things like public health, I think is really something nobody ever thinks of.
But public health is a perfect field for veterinarians. It brings all of the skills, it needs the skills that we have to offer. So particularly the epidemiology, the problem solving, the herd medicine, the whole issue of prevention. And prevention is the key to anybody's health. And unfortunately, we don't operate that way in medicine today in this country. It's too bad. Veterinarians do a whole lot better at prevention than physicians do.
I agree. I think we know more about zoonotic disease too.
We do. And we need to, because 75% of all infectious diseases are shared between humans and animals. So why wouldn't we be a part of that?
And MDs don't know that. I have to tell them.
Well, MDs really don't, most of them don't deal with infectious diseases anymore. Infectious diseases is a very small part of human medicine. And that's good, because it used to be almost all of it.
We don't have smallpox anymore.
Right, so times change, and it's good that physicians don't have to worry much about infectious diseases, but they're still out there.
Yeah. So what do you think has been your most significant contribution to veterinary medicine? That's going to be a hard one.
It is a hard one. Again, I think if there's any contribution in my mind, it's that wherever I was and whatever I was doing and whatever job I was in, just as my boss had taught me years ago, I've always made sure everybody knew I was a veterinarian and proud to be one.
That is,
So,
I like that.
how's that? Can we quit?
No, I think there's one more.
Oh.
Do you have one priceless story you'd like to share?
I think I shared it already. My priceless story was when I was introduced as a vegetarian, and it was wonderful. Everybody enjoyed it, and it's been my favorite story ever since. And that's been 20 years ago, just about. Yeah.
I feel like there's got to be more amazing stuff, crazy things you've seen in countries.
I'm sure
as you're
there's
setting
more,
up
but
breeding
remembering
colonies.
it is such a hard thing to do. And being able to actually talk about it is something else too.
You're on tape. I think we answered all the
I think we've done it.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I had a good time. I hope everybody
Yeah,
else did.
that was
I
perfect.
can't wait to see the finished product.
Yeah.